Morning Monday, Memorial Day in the States, but it's not a holiday in Canada. And I came to Bolton, Ontario, just north of Toronto, to Ritchie Brothers auction. And there's so much equipment around, which is funny because the auction ended May 7th. So this is all the stuff from May 7th auction, and today's May 27th. And so customers are getting frantic because I'm pretty sure soon they'll be charged for storage, right? And I'm picking up a Caterpillar 627G motor scraper. It's a 2002 model, sold for about $260,000 Canadian. So multiply by 74%, that's US. So US is less, of course. US is about 70,000 for 100,000 Canadian. So probably it's what, 70, 71, 40, and 31, 70 US. And I looked at it. I cannot show it to you because we're not allowed to film at the yard, right? But I'm in my truck. But I'll show you later when I leave the yard, because I had my doubts that I will be able to load it. So I thought I'll just go. It's 50 miles, you know, from my yard, from Cambridge to here. And I researched it till I was blue in the face, you know, on YouTube, online, checking specs, talking to people on how they load this. And the consensus was that if you have a standard deck, you gotta load with the wheels back. Yeah, a guy stopped by in a small forklift, was asking me if I'm loading anything small, because I'm in the loading area and there's a dock in front of me. But I said no, we're waiting. So basically, yeah, I looked at the machine and I saw a bunch of videos, like I said, so I know which parts are taller, which ones are smaller. And there's a part behind the cab, I'll show you later, where that holds the hoses. It's like a metal bar and it has only 4 bolts. So I'm pretty sure I can unscrew that if the bolts are not seized, you know, because it's 2002, right? And then in the back we have 2 exhaust pipes. And so the plan is to back it onto my wheel area on the trailer. And then I'll just, and actually both exhaust pipes are loose. You know, they're just sitting. They're not connected. There's no brackets because, of course, whoever loaded this, they had to take them off because, you know, the rear becomes taller. And I gotta do whatever I can in order to bring the overall height below 14 feet, because this just goes to Rochester, New York area. It's only basically, it's 100 miles to the bridge, the border with the US, and then it's 100 miles roughly to the customer. But it doesn't look that big, but I know once it's on the trailer it'll look so it'll be an awesome load. And this guy, I asked him how much he wants. They called him actually. So these guys over here, I said, guys, can you help me load? Like, I know you're not supposed to touch anything, but can you give me some, you know, pointers? And this thing articulates. It makes it very hard to load. Like, driving on is okay, but backing, and this thing has to be backed on because it's not gonna fit. If I had a, let's say, a 30-foot deck, it would fit. You know, if I had that 5-foot insert, which cost only $14,500 US. Thanks, Hail Trailer, for a good quote. But so if I had that one, I could have loaded straight on the deck, but I don't have it. So I only have 26 in the well. I measured, it's the wheelbase is 25, so the distance between the wheels on this thing is 25 feet. And there's a big overhang in the front and in the rear. And even the guy themselves, they said, if you never drove them on, if you never drove these things and you have to back it on, he says, now would not be a good time to start, you know, training. He says, we're gonna call this guy and see if you can work out a deal with him, you know. And this guy lives somewhere nearby, and I remember he helped me, I know his name, he helped me load a big excavator. If you remember, I think sometime last year I had a old chain type excavator that was going to the south of Texas. Somebody from Mexico bought it, and I had trouble loading this thing, and that guy helped me. And he's coming in an hour. He said he needs an hour to get here, so which gives me plenty of time to prepare the trailer, change into work clothes, and maybe go to the scraper and see what I can do about that, you know, tall piece behind the cab, the one that's holding the cables. I can climb in there and try and disconnect it, you know. So I'll show you the machine. I cannot show you loading, but I'll show you the machine on the trailer, you know, if we can load it. But with this guy Brian, he can load anything. But once it's on the trailer, when I'm out of the yard, I'll show it to you. I'll show how I secured it, because it seems to have plenty of anchor points, and I'm pretty sure I can show you the unloading. Normally, I know you guys don't like watching unloading videos, but this would be kind of like instead of loading videos, so it should be interesting. So okay, I'll go get ready. I'm outside of the auction, which means recording is legal again. You guys ready? That was, I wish I could have shown this, but it just basically was, even this guy who's very familiar with this, like I could see, you know, even for him it took 4 or 5 attempts, because the front was a little bit off, the rear was a little bit off, you know. We correct one side, another, it's, you know, articulated machine, right? And on this one there's no way to stop the articulation. You know how on some, you know, wheel loaders, when you're loading alone, that's what you can do sometimes to make it easy. You just, you know, you position, especially when you're backing, right? You position the machine right in front of your trailer. You check each side, you know, that it's, you know, each side is lined up with the side of your trailer, and then you just lock those pins, and that's it. The machine drives straight, and then, you know, you can unlock it again on the trailer and just correct it a little bit. But on this one, there's nothing, you know. Without further ado, Caterpillar 627G motor scraper. Here we go. This is the first time I ever had a monster like this. Check this out. It's 2002. Hold on, are we just changing the angle? So it's 2002, a bit rusty, but everything works, and that's how you have to load it. Like, there's no choice. Why? Because this is a tandem trailer, right? I mean, I only have 2 axles here, so I only have one real booster, and you see, actually this one is very nice. See, it basically keeps your load down, but instead we had to do it like this, which and it sits a bit off. But because, again, I'm telling you, as soon as you correct, like, it was perfectly centered. No, actually, it was a bit forward. I said, man, can you go a bit backwards? He goes like 1 inch backwards. As soon as he applies the brakes, it rolls forward. And then we put it straight down, like it was straight center, like, you know, perfect. And then he puts the bed down, and I use some rubbers, and I put rubbers in there. Basically, see, that's what makes it safe. It's not just sitting over there. I wouldn't even want it because there's so much weight, but it sits on this, like the whole bed is touching, you know. And I put those conveyor belt, see, rubbing in there. That's where that fuel tank was sitting, see. And what's funny about, again, my trailer is that I only have 1 D-ring, right? These are flip axles, you know, like I cannot tie down anything to this because this will just lift the axle, right? because there's no weight on it. Because this machine sits on here. This is part of the trailer. And why I thought actually I was not too much afraid of loading this thing in here, because you see that? Hold on, let me increase it. Yeah, you see that? So it's a massive piece of frame holding this thing over here. And there's I see those little reinforcements in there. Whereas here, there's only one. There's only one reinforcement, but it's bigger. But I think that's okay. I think it's stronger because that's the rear of the trailer. But anyway, so that's how we had to load. And like I said, there was no other way. Why? Because, and actually I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube about this, and everybody was saying that this particular machine, 627G, you put the rear axle on the second bolster, basically between axle 2 and 3. You know, because this one, the wheelbase is 25, but if we put it on the first bolster, I wouldn't be able to attach, you know. And I was thinking, I'm telling you, I was so worried about this load. I'm lying in bed yesterday and I'm thinking, you know, like, what if it's too tall? What if it's like freaking 16 feet tall, you know? And if you look from the side, oh yeah, and check this out. And that one, you cannot get rid of that one. That one is like solid, because basically that's like a screen. It protects this engine over here from rocks flying over. And check this out. So this is where they push this with a dozer. And you see over here, there's so many points where I could have put chains in, like around this thing. That seems massive. The first one seems massive, but I cannot hook it up to these flip axles. Yeah, that guy helped me measure, because it was very windy, so I went to him. He was loading next to me. He says he's going to Texas. He says, where are you going with this? I said, Rochester, New York. He says, that's nothing. He's taking that big garbage truck and he's going all the way to Houston, Texas. I said, buddy, it's very windy. Can you help me? Can you hold? And I climbed on the top there, and he was holding, and we found that this, it's not the tallest point. So from the top of that screen to the ground, it's 13.5 or 13.6. And that's taller than that, right? But the tallest point, I thought it would be that arm. You see? Because that arm, when you lift this, that arm goes up. But the tallest point, and there were two exhaust pipes in the back. I took them off. They were all loose. Basically, whoever brought this machine did the same trick. They were just sitting, like, you know, the long piece was sitting on top of a short foundation, no bolts, nothing. So I just took them off, put them in the bucket in there. That one is solid. The exhaust doesn't even move, but the tallest point is that thing. You see where I'm pointing my finger? That little metal piece. And all it does, it holds those two hoses, you know? And there's two bolts, the bolts on the top, there's nothing, but there's 4 bolts at the bottom that just hold it to the frame. And I found a wrench of the proper size, but of course, you know, this is an industrial machine. I go there, my wrench is, I don't know, 15 centimeters, 10 inches. Not enough leverage, so I couldn't take it off. But I measured, and over there, surprisingly, it's 13.11, like 13.10, 13.11, and that's what I ordered my permit for, 13.11. But there were mechanics in there. I talked to them about this. I said, you guys have power tools? And they said, yeah, we can, you know, after you measure it, if it's too tall, just come here, we can do something. But of course they would charge me money, you know, and I already paid. That guy who was loading shows up and he says, it's 150, right? Canadian. I said, no, it's not 150, it was 100. 30 minutes ago. That's what we agreed on the phone. But turns out that guy was busy, that guy Brian, and he sends this other guy, some, you know, young guy, and this guy shows up and he says, Brian is busy, he sent me. So it's 150. I said, I hate when they do this, right? You reach an agreement with a guy and then he changes the terms on the fly. I said, go home. If you want 150, go home. So he gets in his pickup truck. And I'm thinking, oh boy, if he's leaving, what am I gonna do? So I'm gonna call the Caterpillar, like, you know, a local Caterpillar technician, because I cannot do it myself. You know, you cannot do it by yourself, alone. No matter what you experience or not experience, you cannot back a machine like this on the trailer without help. You know, even that guy said, he says, I cannot see the trailer unless my wheels are like 3 feet over the ramps. You know, he cannot see the back. So basically, you know, either you fall off, and this was, by the way, we did like 2-3 times, and you see how like his wheels, now this side is a bit off, like there's more space between the frame and the wheel than over there, but still it's pretty acceptable. Before, this one was like touching the frame over there, you know, and he tries to correct it. Oh boy. But I like this, you know, so much nice metal where I would love to put the chains. But again, like, look, right, if I put the chain in here, one here, what's gonna happen? It's gonna try to raise the axles, and it's gonna put all the pressure on those on the pins and the top, you know. It's not solid axle. Anyway, so this is the load, and from here it's only 90 miles, no, 85 miles to St. Catharines. So that's what I'm gonna go, because today is Monday, Memorial Day. I cannot cross into US. Oversized loads are not allowed. So today actually was easy, because I knew that all I had to do was really focus on staying alive and load this. And that's why I took my time. It's 2 o'clock now. I was here since 8. Nobody cares, you know. I wanted to put as many chains as possible on this, because the last thing I want is this thing move from that, you know, bolster. But the problem, if this machine decides to move, the problem is that the bucket sits on the frame, right? And then there's the wheels and a bunch of chains. Anyway, so now let me show you the last part. I'll show you where I chained it. So okay, this pin, I never liked this, because it, you know, there's a suspension is gonna move up and down. This thing will always get loose, so this doesn't even count. So then here I found this, but you see there's a hole, but this is just, it's just a cover for the engine, but there's nothing else. There's nothing, there's nowhere to put. I needed to put a chain. You see this one pulls slightly this way towards the truck, so I needed to put a chain pulling in the opposite direction, otherwise they're going to be loose. And of course, you know, right, that's the trick. The trick is you always have to have 2 pairs of chains that pull in the opposite direction, right? So you cannot have 5 chains pulling backwards and 4 chains pulling forward. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you should have a balance. That's when the load will sit perfectly, you know. And of course, and so I started like that. Then you see here, so these two basically, as I call it, kill each other, right? Because this one, see, there's one legitimate eye in there. This one pulls this way, and this one pulls this way. And this is again just a cover for the what looks like transmission, but it's really solid, heavy metal in here. And again, there's nothing I could do, so I put it like that. I put the rubber so that, you know, it slides maybe a little bit. It's easier to tighten. Otherwise, here it wouldn't slide. So anyway, then I saw this sign over here, tie down. Beautiful. So I put it like that. Then I put another one over here, and then I added D-rings in here that's not the bucket, but that's the cover of the bucket, you know, like what when he starts collecting material, this whole thing goes up, right? And at first I pulled it this way and I started hearing some weird noises, so I realized I was not pulling the proper way, so I pulled it that way. So this way it's like it's closed, you know, like the bottom. See the bottom? Yeah, that's what it is. See? So it was crazy to try to pull it that way because I was trying to open the bucket. But this way it pulls this way, it cannot go anywhere because it's, you see, it's touching over there, right? And then here it sits on that rubber. And here it took me a while to do this. I had to climb on the top. You know, over there, there's like a ladder in there. Drag a chain and put that thing in there and do it like that. But that's my last D-ring, and I was not happy having only one chain, even though this end, by the way, you know, I checked the specs, did my homework, so it's about 86,000 pounds, and they said when it's empty, the front has about 52 and the rear has 34. So the front is much heavier, even though they both have engines. This machine has two engines, very unusual design. So there's one engine here, and you pretty much use one engine when you're empty, when you know, when it's not working, right, when you're loading and unloading. But when you try to, you know, cut, you know, the dirt, the material, then they start this other engine over here. And for some reason, even though there's an engine here, maybe it's smaller, I don't know, maybe it's smaller. But so this side, like I said, so it's 52, 34, you know. And so I knew that I don't need too many crazy chains in here because there's much more weight on the front. But I didn't feel, you know, just having one chain, because again, I cannot tie anything down over there. So what I did, I climbed in there, and it hurts me to see this, but there's no other way. And so I put a hook like that, and just hoping that I'm not gonna tear anything off here. But when it goes like this, so you see, it's not all pressure goes on that hole. So the pressure goes on the hole, then it goes here, then it goes here, right? And otherwise I would not just want to, you know, grab a hole like this, because the metal here is not very strong. But I think like that, where the pressure is distributed between these edges, should be okay. And so I connected two chains and put a binder in there, and there you go. So nothing on the back, cannot do anything here. So we have how many chains? We have like long ones, right, from one side to the other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like a pair, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we have 9 chains. So according to Fontaine, that's 10,000 pounds times 2, 20. 20 times 9 is 180,000 pounds. So basically that's an overkill, but I'm telling you, I'm not taking any chances like with the wheel sitting like that. But again, like, I'm really glad that you know, because when I was watching videos on YouTube, I did not see this part. I was not sure how the bed was, you know, where the bed was. My concern, of course, was that I didn't want the bed to touch the tires, right? But it looks okay. So basically, a lot of weight sits here. I look at my gauges, and I don't have a lot of weight on the front, even though I moved my fifth wheel forward because I thought it would be too much here, but you see I moved it, so now I have probably a foot between the kingpin, see over here, to the center, and I only have, I don't know, maybe 50,000 pounds here. And you know why? Because look where the first tires, right? That's pretty much the middle of the trailer. That yellow light is the middle of the trailer. So only a little bit of weight goes this way, but the majority of weight goes in there. So I probably have, like, I don't know, if it's if they say it's 86 and 60, what is this, 146 minus 46, that's 100, minus 10, that's 90. No, I don't think I have 90,000 pounds in there, no way. Anyway, so like I said, the plan for the day is just to reach the border and shut down in St. Catharines. Sorry for the wind. I'm not using my fancy camera that has that mic. Jesus, which way is the wind is coming? So the plan is to reach the border. I cannot cross into US because of Memorial Day, and then tomorrow my route is very complex. I gotta spend some time today, you know, studying it, and after that, that's it. So it's only about 100 miles from the border to the customer. So I probably will unload around lunchtime, if I'm lucky, right? If I don't have any incidents, and then I'm gonna drive back and get ready for my trip to New York City, and we're taking a break from trucking for a week, and then I will start trucking when I'm back. Okay. All right, I'll show you guys a little bit of driving, but before I do that, like just one last chain I need to tighten. So we're gonna play a game kind of like mining, you know. Because the chain is way over there. Now I am satisfied. Everything is tight. Okay. I didn't check the tire pressure. Maybe I should have. But no truck is perfect. I'm talking about the tire pressure on the machine. And in case somebody's wondering, no, you cannot reduce the height by draining the air. Many people tried, and they grew old while waiting for 1 psi to, you know, for 1/2 of an inch change in the height, because there's so much air in there, you know. All right, where are we going? We're going so 138 kilometers. So 140, you know, that's like when you're driving fast, right? So what is that? That's like 90 miles an hour. hungry as hell because as usual in the morning I don't feel like I don't have any appetite. Oh, I had coffee. Yeah, I had a cup. I had a grande americano. That's the auction over there. Very big property. So we're gonna have to go. We have to go like this. This is a truck route. Actually, the truck pulls pretty good. Maybe it's not 86,000 pounds. I don't know. Turn from the third lane, which is a bit of an overkill, but at least I didn't run over the shoulder. It's a very tight spot in here. So now we're on Highway 50. Highway 50. In about 5 miles, in 5 or 6 miles, there'll be the interstate. Freeway 427. And because I have that little box, the 407 transponder, I can just jump on 407, the toll freeway, and it'll take me straight down to, I think, where Hamilton, or like wherever it starts over there. I'd rather pay extra, but I don't want to any, you know, harassment. I don't want to drive fast because it's a, you know, dangerous load. And so in case somebody's wondering how it works with the money, I had to pay out of my own pocket to the guy, right? Because that's not their problem. I mentioned it to the broker, you know. I emailed him today. I said arrive at the shipper, and then he emailed me back like, are you already loaded? Can you send me some pictures? And I said, I'll send you pictures when I leave the yard, because we're not supposed to use, you know, we're not supposed to take pictures and video over here. They get very upset for some reason. And I said, paid $120 to the guy to help me load, and he didn't even reply. because yeah, that's my problem, right? I'm the carrier. I decided I needed help because, you know, as the wise man once said, every man should know his limitations, right?